Am I pricing my services too high or too low? Will clients want to click on my service offerings? And should I charge per hour, per project, or per milestone? In today's video, we're going to teach you how to price your services as a freelancer. Okay, before we get started, there's a few reasons why this is so important. I've been around the block when it comes to freelancing, and one thing that I've noticed is that two different freelancers could have pretty much the same skill set, but the way they frame and price their services makes their business either scale or not so much. I've also noticed that freelancers in particular have a very hard time pricing what they're worth. Sometimes it's difficult because you don't have anyone else telling you what to do. When you're working for yourself, you're calling the shots. And here at Contra, making sure that you're pricing what you're worth is very important to us. We are not here for the race to the bottom. That essentially means selling yourself short, pricing your services for $5 or below. And one last thing. The way you price yourself says a lot about how you're going to deliver. If a client sees you pricing your services at $3, they're probably going to think this is a low quality service. So let's use that as a motivation to price yourself accordingly. Okay, here is the breakdown. First, you need to figure out a pricing structure that works well with your freelance business. And if you're just getting started, part of the game is just experimenting. And we're gonna go over the 3 different pricing structures, all of which you can actually use on Contra. The first one is hourly rate. Obviously, hourly rate is charging a certain amount of money per hour. There's a lot of debate around hourly rates and if this is the best avenue for freelancers to take. And of course, experimentation is the key to figuring out what is successful for you. But there is one thing we want to make sure that you do when setting out your hourly rates. And this is figuring out your minimal acceptable rate. This is essentially what you need to charge in order to cover your expenses. And here's a formula. Simply divide the amount of hours worked divided by the amount of money that you need. If you want to check out a calculation, we'll have it in the description box below. Now, like we said, it's pretty debatable if hourly rates are the right kind of path to take as a freelancer. And here's why. Hourly rates really penalize you if you are being efficient. As you become more efficient, then you're going to get work done in less amount of hours. And if you're getting paid by the amount of hours that you work, obviously you see the downfall there. And secondly, sometimes your projects take longer than expected. And if that happens, then it's harder to get the budget to be expanded by your client, but then there's still hours of work that need to be done. So this means that you're probably going to be overworking and not getting paid your total worth. The second pricing structure are project milestones. This essentially means you're gonna get paid per deliverable. This is really great if you're working on really long-term or just large projects. This means you don't have to wait till the very end of that project to get paid, whereas you're gonna get paid per milestone throughout the work that you're doing. Also, when you set out to do this project with the client, you already know exactly what's expected of you. You have the deliverables set out, you know exactly how much you're charging per deliverable, and it just causes less confusion with your client and freelancer. The third pricing structure are project rates. This is just a fixed flat rate that you're gonna get paid per project. This is super common when it comes to freelancing. A lot of people tend to lean toward project rates versus hourly rates because you don't have to keep track of hours and you don't have to think about deliverables. You can just think of the project as one sum of money. And one of the best parts about working on Contra is that in every scenario, we allow you to have the option to get paid upfront. This means that your client can add in a certain percentage of the overall budget to pay you before the project starts. This is a great way to be secure with your client before starting any work. Okay, those are the 3 pricing structures. And like I mentioned, on Contra, it is super easy to access all 3. All you have to do is start a new project, kickstart a proposal with your client or freelancer, and it's all just plug and play from there. Okay, now for bonus tips, we're gonna keep this super speedy. When you're pricing yourself as a freelancer, you have to look at your living expenses. I know you probably are spending money on clothes, on food, on just a lot of random things that you don't even really think about on a day-to-day, but they add up. And not only your lifestyle expenses, but also you're running a small business. So there's a lot of different things you have to take in consideration there as well. Things like business subscriptions or technologies that you're using, or even accounting tax services. Another tip is to speak about budgets upfront. Be clear with your client and with your freelancer. You want to be on the same page before anything gets started. In the blog below, you can see actual example messages to send to your client so there's no confusion. Also, use resources externally to figure out what rate is best for you. We have an amazing Slack community with nearly 10,000 independents at the time of filming, and there's so so many good tips and advice shared around pricing yourself as a freelancer. So take advantage of those people and those connections. And in the future, don't forget to increase your rates. This is a part of scaling and growing your business. If your cost of living has increased, if you're in super high demand, or maybe you haven't increased your rates in a year, these are all times to consider increasing your rates as a freelancer. If you need help on how to communicate increasing your rates to your clients, we have a word-by-word script. It's linked in the blog below. Okay, that is it on how to price yourself as a freelancer. We would love to know which option you pick in the comments below. And make sure to like and subscribe because we want you here watching videos with us every single week and learning how to freelance and hire on Contra. And be sure to check out the description box below. In those blogs, we have word-by-word scripts on how to communicate with your client when you are increasing or setting your rates. Okay, that's it. See you on the internet.